Hey, what's up, team? I'm Bill Watkins with First Team Defense, and we're here outside of Grafton, West Virginia today. We're actually in Taggart Lake State Park here in north central part of West Virginia, and today we're at a DNR range, and it's actually right inside of the state park. We're here before everything gets opened up. We're very, very fortunate here in West Virginia. We've got a bunch of Department of Natural Resources ranges out here. We've got them all over the state. West Virginia is a very friendly 2A state, not to mention the fact that we do a lot of hunting, a lot of fishing here. We're going to get started here, kind of take you through everything today as some range etiquette and some safety rules. The reason we wanted to do this video is because as instructors, we see so many problems out on a public range, and it might just be because some people don't know or they may not understand what's going on. So we wanted to get out here and just kind of make a safety video of what you need to be mindful of when you get to a public range. And of course, this should be adhered to at any time you're on a range, whether it's a public range, private range, whether you're out in your backyard just shooting and having fun. Okay, there's 4 universal safety rules that you want to go over and you want to maintain at all times. If you follow those 4 universal safety rules, you're never going to have a problem. Okay, most people get out here and they say, oh, we had an accidental discharge and we had this happen and this accident. Those are not accidents. Okay, those there are discharges that shouldn't have happened. And the reason they shouldn't have happened, because if you follow the 4 universal safety rules, you should never have what they call an accidental discharge. Okay, and the 4 universal safety rules, of course, number 1 being always assume that your weapon is loaded until you know it's empty. That's one of the biggest things that we see out here on the gun range. People come out here and they bring their guns out and they just flop them out onto a table, they pull them out, and you don't know if the gun's loaded or not. They start pulling it out and start waving it around, which leads us up to the second safety rule. Make sure that you only point your weapon at something that you're willing to destroy, which if you go out here onto the range and you want to make sure that you keep your weapon pointed downrange at targets, that's the only thing that we're going to be shooting at. Okay, we don't want to be shooting somebody else. We don't want to be pointing this stuff at somebody else. It's very disrespectful. And if you're out here and you pick up a gun and even though you say, oh my gosh, it's empty, and you point it at somebody, then one of these times it may not be empty. It may be loaded. I can't tell you how many accidents and incidences every year that happen because people thought, oh, this was empty. Okay, I had a friend of mine not too long ago. He was telling me a story about his buddy. He was going to go clean his 1911. He pulled the thing out. He thought it was empty. Pulled the hammer back on it, went to press the trigger on it, ended up shooting himself in the foot with it. But he thought it was empty. So we need to make sure that those weapons are clear. Make sure that we only point our weapon downrange in a safe direction at all times. And number 3 is to keep that finger off the trigger. Keep it indexed. Keep it outside of the trigger guard at all times. As long as you keep this off that trigger, you're not going to run into anything accidentally happening. Okay, and number 4 is know your target and what's beyond it. When you come out here onto one of the DNR ranges, public ranges, or even a private indoor range, know your target and what's behind it. Okay, we're out here today and it's a beautiful West Virginia morning out here, and there's wildlife running all over the place downrange. Okay, we don't want to go and end up shooting our wildlife up here. Number 1, it's not in season, and number 2, you want to make sure that you're respectful to everyone around you, including all the animals and stuff that are out here. So, but with those 4 safety rules, we're going to move on. We're going to go over here. We're going to show you how to properly open up your case, your weapon, keeping it pointed downrange, how to clear it, and make sure that you're safe with it. Make sure that you're not pointing it at somebody else. Make sure that you're not waving it around, on the range itself. That makes people nervous. It gets them all excited. Okay, we're going to be able to do all this because this range is not open yet. This range doesn't open. It's Sunday out. It actually doesn't open until 1 p.m. today. Most of our DNR ranges out here, they're open from 9 a.m. until sunset. This one here has a church that's not too far from here, so they don't open the range up until 1 o'clock today. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to move over to one of our tables over here onto the range, and we're going to go over some of the stuff on how to properly open up your case, take care of your weapon as we're on range here. So we'll go ahead over to there and get things situated. Okay, so we've got our firearms laid out here. We've walked up to the range here now, and when we lay our cases down, one thing that you want to look for is knowing the direction of your case and your firearm. Okay, with this case here, I know that the front of the firearm is going to be facing this way because of the big G. That's the way I placed this weapon in the case the last time. So that way when I get to the range, even as I'm carrying it up here, I know that this muzzle is going to be pointed down range. If I'm walking up to the range, I want to make sure I don't muzzle anybody. I'm going to keep the muzzle angled down at the ground like this. So that way, in the event that anything does happen, because we have to assume that all weapons are loaded until we know they're not, if something does happen, it's going to be aimed down in a safe direction at the ground. Okay, so I know with the G on here, on this end of it, we know that the weapon is pointed down range at this point in time. So we're going to open up our case, simply unlock it, and we're going to lay it open here. Okay, and as you can see, the weapon's laying facing down range. It's also laying with the ejection port up. This being to where I can see down into the chamber itself and see that the chamber is empty. We know that there's nothing in there at this point in time. If you notice, all of our magazines are out at this point in time. I want to still pick up this weapon, holding it down range, and I want to look down through. I want to check and make sure that there's nothing in there. I want to visually and physically check this weapon out. So if I stick my hand down here below where the magazine well is and the magazine's out of it, I shouldn't see nothing but my hand or the table down below it here. I want to go and tilt the weapon down towards the ground again, and I want to take my pinky finger and I'm going to visually and physically check that chamber and make sure that there's nothing in there. Okay, and at that point in time, we know there's nothing in the weapon. We can go ahead and we can lay it down, and we know that this weapon is safe at this point in time. Okay, we've got another one over here in a different box, and it's kind of one of our MTM cases. This is one of our guns that we let students use and stuff, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to open this one up here, and we're going to do the same thing with it. Well, we opened this one up and we notice that it's pointing back towards us, and we don't want that. If we get confused and we don't know which end the weapon's pointed to, simply close the box back up. Don't touch the weapon. Just lock the case, spin it around. Now we know it's pointed down range. We're going to unlock the weapon, and then we can go ahead and do the same thing with this weapon as we did with that one. We can pick it up. We can go ahead and lock the slide to the rear. If you notice, we do have a chamber flag in here, so we know that there's nothing in the chamber at that point in time. But guess what? I'm still going to check it. I'm still going to look down through here. I'm going to make sure that there's no magazine in here, no ammunition. Wave my hand, make sure I can see everything down through there. And once again, I'm going to physically and visually check this thing and make sure that there's nothing in the chamber at this point in time. Okay, then we're going to lay our weapon back down, once again keeping it pointed down range. Now, we did that just for demonstration purposes. We knew that this thing was turned around. I just wanted to show you what to do with it. If you do come upon a weapon and it's turned around and it's pointed back towards everybody in an unsafe direction, once you see it and you open it up, don't reach down and pick it up. You're picking it up, you're pointing it back at yourself and everybody that's behind you. You know, it makes people a little bit nervous, especially if you pick something up and maybe the slide's not back on it. Maybe it doesn't have a chamber flag in it. Maybe you can see that it has a magazine in it, okay? We're wanting to be safe because we want everybody to enjoy a good time out here. So simply just close the case, spin it back around, then unlock it again, lay it back out, and now we're pointed down range, okay? At that point in time, we can go ahead and we can get our ammunition out, get everything situated for our weapons, and once we get our target set up downrange, then we can go to work. And we'll also show you here in just a second, we'll get these put away. If you've got maybe a range bag and you come walking up here with it, we'll show you what to do with that. So we'll go ahead and get this stuff put away and we'll be right back. All right, so we have Carrie. She walked in here. She brought her range bag up here with her today, and she's got all of her stuff in her range bag for going to the range. She's got her ears, she has her weapon, safety glasses, all that stuff is inside of her bag. Now, if you have a bag that just looks like the same all the way around, front pockets, back pockets, side pockets, okay, no real markings on it, you kind of want to make one side of the bag front and back. Okay, so on the back side of the bag back here we have like an area for her name tag, which she's went ahead and put her stuff in here, blood type, in case anything happens out here onto the range. We know what type blood type she is if in the event something like that would happen, but that's not going to happen because we're going to follow all the safety rules today, right? Okay, know what way your muzzle is pointed in your bag, in your range bag at all times. Okay, with this here, it zips this way coming forward as you close everything up. And she's went ahead and designated this as the front of her bag. So when she puts her weapon away every time, she's going to make sure that that muzzle inside of the bag is pointed in that direction. That way she knows where the muzzle's at, and once again, we don't end up pointing it at anybody. We're going to control our muzzle and stuff and keep it pointed in a safe direction at all times. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and have her open up her bag here, if you want to start, and she's going to check the weapon as she gets it out here. Once again, we're going to be safe, keeping it pointed downrange at all times. She's reaching in. The weapon's already locked back to the rear, okay? She's got her finger indexed, and she's got a good grip on the weapon. At this point in time, she's going to go ahead and check it again. We can never be too safe. Going to look down through the magazine well. She doesn't see nothing down there but her hand. And then she's going to go ahead, tilt it down in a safe direction, go ahead and physically and visually check that chamber and make sure that everything's clear. So you got a good clear weapon, right?
Yeah.
All right, we can go ahead and lay it down onto the table. And once again, we're going to lay it with the port side or ejection port side up at this point in time. This way we know, or anybody else walking by can look down and make sure that that chamber is empty and make sure that they can see that that weapon is cleared at that point in time. Okay? That's the way you want to do it. Then if you're going to go ahead and you get done at the end of the day, just as we did with everything else, we're going to clear our weapon out just the same. Okay? Then we're going to come back, go ahead and pick up your weapon. We're going to make sure everything's clear before we put it away. Doing the same thing again. Look down through the magazine well, make sure there's nothing in there. Look down into the chamber, physically and visually check it. Okay? And then we'll get that handle out of the way, then we're going to go ahead and put our weapon away just the same way as when we pulled it out. This way, we do this every time. We know the direction of our muzzle all the time. We don't want to muzzle anybody. Okay? We don't want to pull it out, start waving it around on the range. That's just bad etiquette, and it makes a lot of other people nervous. Okay? So we can go ahead and close our bag up. And we'll be ready to head back out. When we head back out, make sure when we pick it up, we're going to pick our bag up, aim it down towards the ground so our muzzle's pointed down in a safe direction. Don't pick it up, start slinging it around. Just because it's back in a case or because it's back in a bag, you still want to be able to treat it in a safe manner. We don't want to be out here waving things around, okay? If you guys got any comments, any questions, anything like that, you can leave them down below. We appreciate it. If there's anything that you'd like for us to do, answer any questions, leave us a couple questions down below. We'll make sure that we get it out to you. We'll do a video on them. Once again, we're trying to get out there, trying to get everything going. A lot of our videos are going to start showing up on Rumble now just because of all the stuff that's happening over on YouTube. But if you want to take one of our classes, of course, the links will all be down below to our website. You can go onto our website, check out our dates and times on our classes, and we'll see you out onto the range. Till next time, be safe, be vigilant, always watch your six.